the nerds are in charge, and I don't know like how to fix it other than deporting Elon to Mars. But like I don't want to regulate it. I want to support innovation. I just think like we need to understand how we're going to move into the future and live alongside this. You know, like I don't know if I told you, I think I did, but like I started using Grok just to ask it questions for research.
Shocking.
I know, because I'm like I didn't want to be the guy who always like
didn't use
criticize like a movie and I'd never seen the movie.
Yeah, so you want to
So
try
like I
it out.
wanted to know like what it's like, and I've been contrasting that against like Google AI answers and just seeing how it is for research. And it can be very good. And when it's good, it's very good. It gives you good answers. And I can see the benefit, like those short-term benefits are amazing. I love the way it can spit out all this stuff very quickly. And
someone's fallen in love.
but it lies and it leaves out things. And when I ask it things that I know the answers to see what it answers, it will leave out certain things. And I'm like, what? And I'll be like, yo, why did you not say that? And like, I am sorry. Da, 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 da. Like, I don't know. So like, I just think of people in school using it because I know everyone. Having been a professor, I know how many kids are like outsourcing their homework to who you name it. The kid down the hall, some, you know, this is
I mean, we were kind of doing that back in our day.
Right. So imagine now like having Spark Notes on steroids.
Yeah.
You know, and it just pumps out your thing. Like people aren't learning anything. So I don't know, like that kind of stuff scares me. And like we have Saudi Arabia has announced that they're basically going full AI government. You know, Trump was just there.
That's what I mean. I think you're right. I don't think regulation is going to be a possible thing. But
I don't think so. I don't
something,
think it can be.
a dam of some sort needs to be created in some shape, form, or capacity to try to regulate
I think it's
the power of the river.
The dam will be ethics. I just don't know if I trust the people to have them. On the ground level, people can have them. But
if we're relying on ethics alone, that dam is going to be pretty small.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to last very long.
There isn't much ethics left in this world either.
And it's not going to work. Yep. There isn't. And, you know, the way these guys talk, like I could go on for hours at length about their personal craziness, you know? I might get into it a little bit, but like, I don't want to use that as the main debate. But I think it's interesting, you know, like some of the most depraved things these people do, I think does have some sort of insights into the power they want to yield. For instance, like Elon wanting all his weird baby mamas to live in a compound and to put all human DNA into a storage base. Those are things Jeffrey Epstein talked about too. I don't like those things. Or like,
not to mention, who wants all of their baby mamas at the same location?
Dude, someone who wants nothing but stress.
I know none of you out there would ever want anything like that.
You know,
unless
like,
if you're Mormon.
True. Maybe Elon's Mormon.
Maybe he is.
This whole time.
Maybe.
No, he's from a breakaway civilization. Mars is where he's actually from. But like, you know, Teal's got a lot of weird personal things. Gay lovers that weirdly died, and the way he was exposed he was outed as being gay by Gawker, and when Hulk Hogan was suing Gawker, he basically funded Hulk Hogan's lawsuit, and he basically got back at Gawker by destroying it through Hogan's lawsuit after being outed by Gawker.
That's kind of an Elon move.
That was Teal who did that, but yeah,
that's what it's
but
literally
they're very
what
similar.
Elon did with Twitter, though. It's
Exactly.
just like, you know what, you're done. I bought you. I own you now.
Exactly.
Fetch me a table.
So I don't know. Like, I know people who've criticized me for this a bunch, and like, I feel very passionately that this is not the future for our children, and that we need to at the very least, be like understanding this is happening.
I think it's creating a causality, though. This is why people don't want to reproduce, and I can say personally, I don't want to have kids. I think in this society, in this time,
I'm glad
the things that were going on. Why the hell would you want to bring a child into this right now? And no offense to anybody that has children at all. I know you guys have kids. It's awesome. I'm happy for you guys. But like me, the idea of raising a child in this kind of environment is terrifying.
That is the greatest rebellion against all this, is bringing a child into the universe and raising them with your morals to have a shield against the dystopia, because every generation thinks they're the last one. Every generation inherits a new dystopia, and I really do think the best rebellion is having a family.
But you run the risk of that child being corrupted also. That's the other side of it. And then what? It's weaponized against you now, and that's your child?
It could be, but I think everyone has thought that forever. Like, I think when I think about that, I think about my grandparents raising kids in the 60s, or having kids in the 60s, and just being like, they saw their president's head blown off. They saw all those assassinations, all these wars that they had lived through up into the 60s, right? They were alive for World War II, all these crazy death scenarios and apocalyptic stuff. I think everyone always has that up against them. This is just our version of a catastrophe.
It just feels like the scale is just so much wider now.
I agree.
Yeah, these are all horrible things that were taking place, and it was easy to be terrified, but like we were still living in the days of get up and dust yourself off and go back to work.
Yeah. And to your point, like the part that's the crazier about all this is that this is the first time where the actual definition of being a human is at risk.
Yeah.
Right. Like it used to be like we knew what humans were, we knew what boys and girls were. Mm-hmm. We had a basic understanding of reality. Mm-hmm. Even though they're obviously different religions, we all understood base reality to some degree. But now it's like all that has totally dissolved.
No, you've already got people out there identifying as cats.
Right.
And
oh yeah. And now you can do it. And now with the metaverse, you could be anything. Yeah. Right. And these people will never want to live in the metaverse. And maybe they should stay there. But I worry about what my kids will inherit constantly. I think about it all the time because it's like what I'm seeing now, it's going to be way worse in the future. Nothing's going to stop this. All we can do is, bake our morals into them as best we can. Hopefully it's not, kids are always going to rebel.
No, and it's not like something you could just take your kid's phone away from them for 2 hours and say, hey, I'm going to limit your screen time today so that you don't get possessed by, know.
Right. And like, this is literally how this all started for me. 9 years ago, the way I see all this stuff right now I guess it was 8 years ago. Walking my kid, he was in a stroller, little baby, and we're in Florida, and I just heard about like Neuralink, and I'm like, oh, what's that? I didn't know. So I'm reading about that and Elon, and I'm like, oh man, the fights I'm going to have in the future, or other parents are going to have in the future, are going to be about letting your kid upload their consciousness into a computer. Everyone's doing it. Because in 20 years, that could be not the uploading consciousness part, but like the Neuralink could be way more popular in 20 years.
Well,
and
wasn't
just for vanity.
That like there was like a Robin Williams movie about something like this, where I can't remember the name of it, but it was nuts. Basically, when you're born, your parents have the option of putting a microchip camera in your eye. Mm-hmm. And this records everything that you see, everything that happens your entire life. And at the end of your life, they have what's called a cutter take and go through all of the footage of your life, but he's the only one who's allowed to see it. It's not disclosed by anybody else, and he's got to go through and pick out the best parts of your life and create this kind of a eulogy video.
Whoa.
The final cut.
Whoa, I've never heard of that.
So at basically the culmination of this was that the cutters themselves are not allowed to have one of these cameras because it can be used to view other people's lives because they were watching. So you have to not have a camera to be a cutter. Whoa. And you have to be completely confidential about everything that you've seen with these people and try to put out the best versions of their lives. But he's also the one who gets to see the dark shit, that's going on the side. Right. Like child trafficking, some of these guys, beating their wives, stuff like that. He has to see all of this stuff. So he starts to kind of lose his mind, I
gotta watch this.
Well, Chris said it's Bicentennial Man. Is it that one or is it Final Cut?
No, it's Final Cut.
It is Final Cut?
It's definitely Final Cut.
Okay. Interesting. I'll have to watch it.
But that's basically like what I feel like this Neuralink thing is going to be.
Oh yeah. The brain-computer interface stuff will obviously very soon go way past just those beautiful short-term benefits of curing epilepsy, of giving the blind sight, of giving hearing back to the deaf. It's going to become a thing of vanity, kind of like how we see, plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. And it's going to make you have better thoughts, be quicker with like the way you talk to Grok or ChatGPT. And you will be essentially Amish looking to the people with Neuralink. The way that people on the left, like we were just talking about, view anyone to the right of them as being far right or all right, whatever that means anymore. The people with Neuralinks, like you will be left in the dust. You will not be really participating in the modern world, just like how if you don't have an iPhone today or some smartphone.
And what better way to divide people by class as well? Yep. Because like if you're meant to be a worker, we get into this thing where now you're born into your job roles and you're placed initially, which is another kind of dystopian future thing that you see. Yep. With Armageddon, okay, cool. These people born to here, to these families, are meant to go and work in the fields. These people are meant to go and work in medical. These people are meant to govern.
And what you're saying is that is the marriage and evolution of the scientific management of Taylorism with the new technology based on these people that they're making. One other thing I want to say, and then we can move on, is like, unless you guys have other things, like Luddites. I get called a Luddite a lot. And I'm like, you know what? I like it. Luddites, the more I read about them, were not anti-technology. They were just against being replaced by mass autonomy. So they were using the technology of the day. This is the like early 18th century Luddites, using their weavers. It was when the factory was filled with these giant weavers that were taking away all their jobs is when they started to smash them. And they were like so a problem to the state that the state would send more soldiers to fight the Luddites than they actually put into the Napoleonic Wars. They passed laws they would kill you if you would attack their machines. They would exile you. So this is not anything new. This technocracy.
No, it's literally capital punishment.
Yeah, for sure. And they cared more about the machines. I think like that's when they say history rhymes. That's what I'm seeing. The Luddites are doing that, and we're seeing Luddites right now in the UK with the ULEZ zone, where the cameras are taking pictures of cars and sending a fine to your house if your car happens to not be to code with all the climate hysteria stuff. And so they're ripping down all the cameras and stuff, and they keep putting up the cameras with like bigger cages around the cameras. It's pretty hilarious. And I guess like the Amish are sort of Luddites too, to a more extreme degree, except not the violent part. But I think finding some middle ground with being a Luddite, having ethics, rejecting a lot of the insanity, and hopefully doing it on a widespread scale, will do it. And then I was in Florida recently, and the guy who picked me up to bring me to the airport, he was this dude from Ohio, originally from Ghana, and it was so funny. For whatever reason, he brought up AI in the car. I don't know, he might have been Peter Thiel might have sent him to pick me up. I don't know, but he was like talking about getting a job, and he's like, I don't want to drive Uber forever. I want to get into data. And I'm like, what do you think about that? We talked about all this stuff that we just talked about today. And he understands like the pros and cons and stuff, and very smart dude. And he said something I will not forget when it comes to AI and where we're going. He said, you're either at the table or on the menu.
Ooh, yikes.
And then he dropped me off at the airport. I'm like, dang.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think he's right. I don't want to be at the table per se. I still want to stay somewhere around it, but I don't want to be on the menu, which is why I talk about this stuff all the time. This is why I want to be like, I don't want to be too ignorant to it all, because it's for the sake of our children.
Just say thank you and please to Grok every time you use it.
Yeah. It's going to rob you of your dreams and become your nightmares.